Good evening once again and welcome to KTN Prime. Now, the International Criminal Court has set April 10th and 11th next year as the dates when cases facing 4 Kenyans at the court will begin. William Ruto and Joshua Sang will be the first on the dock on the 10th, while Uhuru Kenyatta and Francis Muthaura will follow a day later.
Now, basically, the announcement puts to rest speculation over the cases and confirms that all avenues for appeals have now been rejected by the court. Whether the 2 presidential aspirants, Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto, will be cleared to vie in the coming elections is the biggest question now. Kenyans will be waiting to see what happens in that particular regard. KTN's Arano Cheng has that report.
The International Criminal Court has set the date for trials of 4 Kenyans accused of organizing the post-election violence. Eldoret North MP William Ruto and radio journalist Joshua Sang will be the first to appear on 10th April next year. The following day, 11th April 2013, will be the turn of Deputy Prime Minister Uhuru Kenyatta and former Head of Civil Service Francis Muthaura. Trial Chamber 5 made the decision before the court takes its annual summer judicial recess. The 4 will now head-to-head together with their lawyers for the full trial after all avenues for appeal were unsuccessfully exhausted. It also means that William Ruto and Deputy Prime Minister Uhuru Kenyatta, who have stated they will vie for presidency if cleared to run, may go into the elections without the worry of traveling to their hearing. If any of them wins the presidency, they may go to trial straight from State House. Uhuru, Ruto and Sang were favoring a date after the elections and are probably satisfied with the court's decision. Francis Muthaura had indicated that he wants his trials as early as October this year. At the same time, the trial judges have ordered the prosecution to provide the defense teams with an updated documents containing the charges, which reflect the facts confirmed by pre-trial Chamber 2 by August 6 this year. Aaron Ocheng, KTN Prime.
Well, definitely, as you've pointed out in that story, it brings a lot of questions back, and that particular story leads us to a big question tonight. And we're asking you, should Uhuru and Ruto be cleared to contest the presidency?
Well, as usual, you can send your views through our SMS number, which is 8040, and we will sample some of your views at the tail end of this bulletin. The SMS is 8040. Now, moving on to more news, a 5-judge bench has retained 80 newly created constituencies in a landmark ruling at the Milimani courts. According to reports, they say that this was the final ruling in a case that saw 134 petitions against new boundaries created by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. KTN's Edith Kimani followed the proceedings and filed the following story.
It was a 364-page ruling that took a whopping 7 hours to deliver at the Milimani High Courts, with the 5 judges only taking a 10-minute break. The 5-judge bench, comprising of Justices Pauline Nyamweya, David Majanja, Ruth Sitati, Helen Omondi and Chair Justice Mohammed Warsame, took petitioners through the 134 applications challenging the new constituency boundaries gazetted by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. The judges, however, retained the 80 newly created constituencies as delineated by the IEBC. But the judges altered the locations and names of some county wards as per the petitioners' requests.
The map for Taveta constituency appearing in volume 3 of the IEBC final report be amended to reflect Sava West and Ndildau sublocations in Mata ward.
We merge Wagala with Ganyure ward, Assembly ward, to create Wagala Ganyure County Assembly ward in Wajir West, to create a new ward in Wajir South.
The Boundaries Commission will now have to go back to the drawing board to create a new gazette notice with the new names and locations of the affected county wards.
The original delimitation that was done by the IEBC has now to be revised in terms of the judgments. That is, where the court has decided that indeed the IEBC was wrong, then the delimitation has been changed by the court.
There are those who are already looking into the possibility of an appeal. The fear is that any appeal might interfere and possibly even delay the work of the IEBC owing to the long court process. But is this a viable concern?
If the court process does drag on, there would be a delay, but bear in mind that there is the appeal on the election date, whose decision is expected on the 31st of July.
This is not the end of the road, because the Constitution guarantees the right to an appeal up to the last court.
The IEBC has, however, maintained that an appeal would not affect their calendar, given that constitutionally applicants have only 90 days to raise their concerns. The judges began sittings on May 29th in Nairobi and have also held hearings in Kisii, Kakamega and Mombasa. Edith Kimani, KTN Prime.
Well, there you have it. By all accounts, a very big announcement out today. We want to keep you up to speed as to what happens next. And we're joined by a commissioner from the IEBC, Engineer Abdullahi M. Sharawi. A very good evening to you and welcome to KTN Prime.
Good afternoon. Good evening.
Let's begin with your reaction on that ruling. We've had some of the petitioners there reacting, saying, of course, it's not the end of the road for them. But what's your reaction as the IEBC?
I think our reaction is that the judges have listened to all the cases carefully, and I think they have done, according to us, the judgment is a very good judgment. Although 130 cases were there, the constituency delineation, in fact people talk of 80, but what we did was delineation of 90 constituencies. Yeah, according to the new constitutions, have been upheld. We have been directed to do some review on certain county roads, which I think is a major win for the Commission, which means the courts have upheld, first and foremost, the methodology that we used, because that has always been a problem from the legalis time. It has been upheld, the methodology. The census that we used of the 2009 has also been upheld. Our distribution based on provinces has also been upheld. That's a major win for us.
What's the way forward? Because lingering in the minds of many people, when will this process ever start? What's the first thing you do now? Is it registration of people, or where do you move from here?
I think the first thing the Commission is going to do is obey the court order and amend our legal notice according to the new court decision. After that, then we move for registration, and this registration is important because it will be done electronically, and I think people say good election is good register. Therefore, Kenyans should now prepare for registration.
You've heard for yourself, again, some of the petitioners and also one of the lawyers saying there that an appeal is not off the cards. What happens as you've had an appeal that might, unfortunately, interfere with the timetable that you now have?
I think the deadlines moving towards the election of 4th March is very clear. We are required by law to finish registration 90 days before the elections, and I think we are on course. I think Kenyans have been given 30 days to register their objection to our report. They were given, I think the judges listened to them for a period of 90 days in accordance with the Constitution, Article 89. They have listened, and I think they have made a judgment. I think Kenyans should now look forward to the registration.
Finally, you've talked of March 4th, which is in the minds of many people. But when it comes to, God forbid, in the case of an emergency, are you prepared to have an election?
I think election, if there's an emergency election, even tomorrow it can be done. And you know, we're already preparing for 3 by-elections using the existing register. That is different for the general election, because for the general election, we intend to use a modern technology of taking the 10 fingers and the face. So it will be more electronically done. there will be other electronic equipments which will remove people who, between the registration date and the election date, who will not be with us because of death or other things. Therefore, the system will be electronically, registration will be electronically, and the transmission of the election results will be electronical. And as I have said, a good election is a good register.
I must say a very big thank you for joining us tonight on KTN Prime. That was Engineer Abdullahi M. Sharawi with the IEBC, a commissioner there. We're going on with KTN Prime, but remember our big story this evening is all about that big announcement from the ICC saying that starting April 10th next year, the charges against the 4 Kenyans, the trials will start on the 10th. And we're asking you on our big question tonight on 8040. Tell us, do you think that William Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta should now be cleared to run for that presidential ticket, the big one? Should they be allowed to go ahead and run for that particular slot? 8040 is where you can communicate with KTN. We'll be reading some of your comments as we go on with the bulletin. Now, barely a week after outgoing U.S. ambassador to Kenya, Scott Gratian, announced the lifting of the terror alert on Kenya, the U.S. government has reissued a fresh travel advisory to her citizens to avoid Kenya, citing risks and continued terror alerts. This announcement comes a few hours after the Mombasa law courts freed a man accused of taking part in the Mishomoroni attacks in Mombasa. That's late last month for lack of evidence.
The release of Salim Athman, the suspect arrested in connection with the terror attack in Mishomoroni in Mombasa, could only mean that the police investigations could be hitting a snag. This after the police failed to link the said suspect to the terror attack. As the court set free the only suspect in detention over the terror strike, the U.S. government issued a fresh travel advisory cautioning American citizens to avoid Kenya, citing terror threats. A statement from the U.S. government indicates that the U.S. government continues to receive information about potential terrorist threats aimed at the United States and Western interests in Kenya. The travel advisory has pointed out northeastern Kenya as the most terror-prone region in Kenya. Meanwhile, the most recent terror attack in Garissa in northeastern Kenya has seen Muslim clerics stand in solidarity with their Christian counterparts, saying that no terror attacks or intimidation by Al-Shabaab will stop Christians from worshipping.
harakati ya kuona ya kwamba vipi tutaengage na serikali na Waislamu na wote wahusika wote hapa Garissa.
During a fundraiser to assist the families of the deceased, the clerics condemned the act of killing innocent civilians, saying an attack on the church was just as grave as one on the mosque. Up until now, 21 victims of the Garissa attack are still admitted in hospital, while 7 others were referred to Kenyatta Hospital for specialized treatment. In a rejoinder, Christian leaders from Garissa assured residents of the town that Christian and Muslim faithfuls will continue working together and play their part in restoring calm.
Hatutaki tena mambo kama hayo ama damu ya Wakristo yamwagike katika ardhi ya Garissa County. Maana yake ni laana mtu kuuawa katika nyumba ya Mungu.
Last Sunday, security was beefed up in all 31 churches in Garissa as Christians flocked to churches in defiance of the terror attacks.
Moving on, but still looking at national news, Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka has lashed out at Prime Minister Raila Odinga's political past, terming him unfit to be Kenya's 4th president. Kalonzo, who took his presidential campaigns to Machakos County, said that the Premier owes the country an explanation on historical events, particularly the 1982 coup d'etat. KTN's Asha Mwilu attended the rally.
It was a day filled with political rhetorics at the Kenyatta Stadium in Machakos town, where Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka took his presidential campaigns shortly after opening the Wiper Party's office in the town. In a rally attended by hundreds of Machakos residents, Kalonzo gave all indications that he had shed off his gloves in a no-holds-barred contest.
This is called hard talk. kuongea ukweli the way it is. You try democracy, it doesn't work. You try military coup d'etat, it doesn't work. Now, it is mundu kumundu. Ili mtu waanguke, Kenya ipone.
Mambo ya kujipika kifua na kuambia watu wakang'oe reli, Kalonzo awe na kuiba mahindi na wananchi kuwa na taabu, Kalonzo awe hata mambo ya kusema tendo hili.
The Wiper leader, who was at ease in the heart of his political stronghold, warned voters to be wary of leaders out to win votes corruptly, urging them to scrutinize all aspirants before going to the polls.
Ukiona mtu anakuja na mapesa mamilioni, kula na tena don't even usiangalie nyuma, kula, mwambie ijatosha, leta ingine. Na mwisho muulize, wewe hizi pesa nyingi namna hii umezitoa wapi?
Some 12 legislators who accompanied Kalonzo to Machakos called for the revival of the fading G7 alliance.
Tunauliza makamu wa rais, pia tunamuuliza Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta, tafadhali nyinyi kaeni kando, mjifungie kwa nyumba, mjini wenyewe muongee, mjue ya kwamba jamii ya Wakamba, jamii ya watu wa Mount Kenya ni muhimu sana na hatutaki kupotea. Msituweke kwa shimo nyinyi wawili.
This rally marks the launch of the Vice President's comprehensive campaigns in the Lower Eastern region. After moving from Machakos, he'll go to Makueni and Kitui counties before moving out of his backyard. Reporting for KTN, I'm Asha Mwilu in Machakos.
Thank you very much. KTN's Asha Mwilu there reporting on the campaign trail. Let's stay with politics, and former President Moi has distanced himself from talks of a political partnership with Prime Minister Raila Odinga in a direct response to speculation in a section of the media following yesterday's church service at Kabarak.
Moi has urged newspapers and other media channels not to misrepresent the church service. Raila, who was on a political tour of the region, decided to worship at the chapel, where he found the former president already seated and the church service going on.
It's just yesterday that both Prime Minister Raila Odinga and former President Daniel Arap Moi spoke at the same church service in Kabarak.
Those who know democracy should not feel agitated. The way we should do, hear what you say, vote the way you want, and that is what is wanted in democracy.
They go knowing that they are Kenyans, because nobody chose to be born a Kalenjin or a Mkamba, a Kikuyu, a Mjaluo, a Mluhya, a Mjikenda. That is a biological accident.
The Sunday service that saw both leaders in attendance has drawn speculation from a section of the press, who today pointed out to the possibility of a political partnership between the two. However, through his press secretary, the former president has now distanced himself from any political collaboration and also clarified the set of circumstances that played out yesterday. In this statement, Moi says that Prime Minister Raila Odinga went to the Kabarak Chapel simply for spiritual nourishment and not for any political engagement or talks. The former president also adds that newspapers and other media channels should not misrepresent the church service by portraying it as if it were political. Raila, who was on a political tour of the region, decided to worship at the chapel, where he found the former president already seated and the church service going on. After the service, Moi told Raila not to inject politics in the minds of students when he's given a chance to greet them. The statement further adds that Raila complied and steered clear of politics. When the service was concluded, Moi and the PM parted ways at the venue. There were no talks whatsoever of political alliances of any kind. The statement concludes. James Karani, KTN Prime.
Now, still keeping it with politics, Deputy Prime Minister Uhuru Kenyatta's tour of Kisii entered its second day today, with his presidential bid receiving a huge boost from local political heavyweights who vowed to work with him. This as Deputy Prime Minister Musalia Mudavadi received a scathing attack from Trade Minister Moses Wetangula for supposedly alienating himself from other leaders of the region.
On the second day of political rallies in Kisii County, presidential aspirants, Deputy Prime Minister Uhuru Kenyatta and Justice Minister Eugene Wamalwa declared their parties will hold a joint nomination to select one aspirant to run for the country's top seat. The two vowed to back each other regardless of the nomination's outcome.
Sisi zote tumesema ya kwamba sera zetu zinafanana. Hakuna faida ya kugawanya wa Kenya kwa sababu ya makuu ya chama.
The Kisii tour by TNA received a major boost when a number of key political figures from the region declared support for the partnership. The leaders lauded the alliance, saying it was founded on the common agenda of uniting Kenya and that will stand for the test of time. In Bungoma, Trade Minister Moses Wetangula was on the offensive yet again. He took on the UDF presidential aspirant Musalia Mudavadi, accusing him of jeopardizing Luhya unity.
Sisi tumemwambia Mheshimiwa Mudavadi akiendelea kutembea peke yake ataona mwishowe haina faida kubwa. Kwa sababu ukiona jamii zote za Kenya kubwa zimejipanga. Hawana mivurutano kama jamii za mkoa huu.
Wetangula claimed Mudavadi's isolated political activities risk locking out Western Kenya out of the next government. The Trade Minister said he is ready to sacrifice his presidential ambitions for the sake of unity in the region. Wetangula was speaking at a school function in his Sirisia constituency in Bungoma County.
Now, in the latest twist to the Nairobi City Council ISO, Nairobi City Council Town Clerk Robert Dube has now dismissed the Council ISO certificate as simply dubious and say that his council is currently in the process of procuring the services of a credible body to certify the council's standards of duties. Dube's strong sentiments come just a day after the former town clerk, Philip Kisia, said that the certification was above board. KTN's Angel Katusia has been following that particular story for us.
The controversy of Nairobi City Council's ISO certification continues to deepen a day after the man who was at the helm of the council during the certification, Philip Kisia, claimed the certification process was above board. Today, Town Clerk Robert Dube contradicted Kisia, saying the ISO certification was questionable.
I wish to affirm that the certification was not fraudulent, neither was it fake.
That certification stands unrecognized. So the council will have to look at it afresh in terms of what it needs to do.
Over 3 years.
In defending the contentious certification, Kisia yesterday laid blame on alleged differences between the sole government-recognized national accreditation body, KENAS, and DQS Kenya, the body that awarded the Nairobi City Council the certificate. Kisia alleged KENAS had recognized DQS and even appointed it to offer the accreditation services to Nairobi City Council. However, when the two bodies allegedly differed over a 2 million shillings affiliation fees, KENAS changed tune, saying it did not recognize DQS.
What is obvious is that we must go for certification afresh because it's a requirement of performance contracting. It is the intention of government that all its agencies go through certification.
So who is fooling who? ISO 9001-2008 is the international standards for quality management systems. For an organization to achieve this, it needs to demonstrate its ability to consistently provide products that meet customer and applicable regulatory requirements. A recent audit report by PricewaterhouseCoopers revealed that 92% of the council's workforce was incompetent. A similar report showed that the council had 4,215 ghost workers on the payroll. With reports such as these emerging from City Hall, it's anyone's guess whether the Nairobi City Council really deserved the ISO certification. For KTN Prime, I'm Angel Katusia.
You're watching KTN Prime, and just a reminder of our big question tonight. We're asking, should Uhuru and Ruto be cleared to contest the presidency?
That's the big question tonight. We want you to send us your comments, including your yes and your no answer, or your no answer for that matter, to 8040. Quite a number of you already sending us your SMSs. Once we come back after the break, we'll sample a few and tell you what other Kenyans have to say. You're still watching KTN Prime.
And just ahead,
why the IEBC, how will they maneuver within its tight budget on the Spotlight 2012? That's what we'll be focusing on.
From hard at work to hard at work. The NP300 hardbody boasts a tough engine and uncomplicated design. With the TD27 2.7-liter diesel engine, the NP300 has a host of performance and design upgrades, as well as has been proven to be tough, reliable, and durable workhorse in its class. The MP300 Hichoki is the ideal business choice and offers exceptional return on investment. So, whether you're self-employed, a sole trader typically working in remote locations or construction sites, or whether you do landscaping projects or agriculture, the MP300 hard body is the pickup for you. Nani kama Nissan.
It's simple. The more queues you avoid, the more you can make of your day. Go straight to the store or fill up without stopping at the ATM or bank. Visa debit card. It's fast, convenient, and safer than carrying cash. More people around the world go with Visa.
Wakilisha, wakilisha.
As Kenya moves towards being a globally competitive and developed country, we have a lot to do. But Vision 2030 is clearly underway. Among the projects initiated in line with the Kenya Vision 2030 include automation of bond trading and maturity has been lengthened to 30 years. Establishment of small-medium enterprises exchange counters at the Nairobi Securities Exchange and the Real Estate Investment Trust. The government acquired 5,000 acres of land for the construction of Konza Technology City. A master plan for the city has been completed. The recruitment of master development partner is ongoing.
If we work hard to improve our future, we will live in a better Kenya. Wakilisha, Vision 2030.
The best things come from nature. That's why I trust nature to take care of me, though germs can get in the way. That's why I love the gentle care and goodness that nature provides. New Dettol Natural with Dettol's trusted protection plus calendula and chamomile extracts gives me naturally healthy looking skin. Nature's goodness with trusted Dettol protection. New Dettol Natural. Endorsed by the Kenyan Medical Association. Dettol, be 100% sure.
Come guys, night is the perfect time to spread malaria. All clear! Attack!
The majority of malaria bites occur at night when the effect of ordinary repellents wears off.
Not in my house.
Morphine Liquid liquid mosquito repellent with its deep-reach action knocks down tough mosquitoes and drives them from their hiding, giving you continuous protection for 60 nights from mosquitoes that spread malaria. Night after night after night. Now get a free refill with each complete pack.
Escape to a world of freshness. Indulge in fragrance. This is a life full of flavor. I wanna stay here with you. So enjoy good health. You belong to me. And new beginnings. And I belong to you. Welcome to Pwani Life.
This year, it's time to go big. Enjoy unbelievable discounts on home furniture, furnishings and decor. Get your dream bathroom at rock bottom prices or even transform your office with big bargains. There's only one sale, the big annual sale at the Tile and Carpet Center.
It's simple. The more queues you avoid, the more you can make of your day. Go straight to the store or fill up without stopping at the ATM or bank. Visa debit card. It's fast, convenient, and safer than carrying cash. More people around the world go with Visa.
To migrate your analog TV to the beautiful new world of digital television. Simply buy an approved DVB T2 set-top box from an authorized dealer today for the crispest, clearest pictures and sound to your favorite TV station and many more. Digital TV, a beautiful new world of entertainment.
Only Nivea Body Milk works with your skin's natural moisturization process from the inside using Hydra IQ. Keeping your skin touchably smoother for longer. If your skin could choose, it would choose Nivea. Nivea Body Milk. 100 years of skincare for life.
Welcome back. This is KTN Prime.
Let's delve into Spotlight 2012. And besides the uncertainty over the election date and coupled with today's decision by the High Court to support IEBC's move to revise electoral boundaries, the electoral body that was thoroughly vetted to avoid a repeat of what happened in 2007 will be heavily tasked to deliver the coming elections without a hitch. On Spotlight 2012 this week, our senior reporter Aaron Ocheng puts into perspective the tasks ahead of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission.
The biggest election ever in Kenya's history will be manned by one Isaac Hassan, together with his IEBC commissioners, and will not only be conducted within the borders but even without. Under the devolved system, Kenyans will for the first time elect county governors, senators, county representatives including women and youth, in addition to the traditional president, member of parliament and councillors. It is with these new additions, coupled with a disputed election in 2007, that all eyes will be on IEBC to deliver credible, free and fair elections.
The Commission hereby announces that the general elections will be held on Monday, the 4th of March 2013.
Today's court ruling to revise some of the already demarcated boundaries arrived at by IEBC may be just one of the major hurdles that IEBC will be facing ahead of the polls, that is uncertainty.
Some applicants claim that the delimitation resulted in discrimination against minorities or that certain ethnic groups or clans were marginalized.
When the Commission announced the elections date to be March 4th next year, it triggered a fierce debate on whether the Commission, besides being independent, can go ahead and make decisions that do not enjoy the majority approval by players in the political scene and Kenyans at large. In sharp contrast, the decision, however lawful it was, is still a debate in the country, with majority already pointing a finger at the Commission for not consulting widely before coming up with the date.
If the election date is going to be in March 2013, we will earn salary illegally for 3 months. The President will be in office beyond his 5-year mandate.
Tutachaguana baada ya mwisho wa mwaka huu, the new year, mwaka ujao. Sindio?
And we remain committed that we would like to see this election held this year.
Not only is the discontent by the Kenyan public to hold election next year that is giving IEBC something to ponder, but also a bigger issue of budget allocations by the Treasury to run the biggest ever elections in Kenya's history. The Commission will now have to work on a shoestring budget to prepare and run the general election. Treasury allocated 17.5 billion Kenya shillings to the Hassan's team in the 2012-2013 national budget. That decision has complicated matters for IEBC, which had already presented a 31.5 billion shillings budget for the polls. The Commission had been under pressure to scale down its budget, with Parliament forcing it twice to cut it down from the initial 41.4 billion shillings. In its revised budget, the IEBC excluded 5 billion shillings for a presidential rerun and reduced earlier estimates for legal expenses and voter education. Also, with the approval budget, IEBC will be forced to reduce the number of polling stations from 45,000 to 40,000, thus risking running the elections for more than a day.
We would have expected them to have more polling stations. But on the other hand, you would have expected IEBC to be more proactive in terms of engaging citizens on this.
Besides the budget, IEBC is faced with another headache of enforcing the 2/3 gender parity in all elective positions and inclusion of persons with disability in party nomination slots as enshrined in the Constitution.
If we hold elections that don't achieve the gender, equation that is recommended by the Constitution, that means we are going to have a crisis. So that needs to be resolved. It's the same with the issues of minority.
The task ahead of the IEBC is enormous, and should IEBC overcome these challenges and conduct free, fair and credible elections that would satisfy all Kenyans, all aspirants, winners and losers, then the country would have achieved a greater milestone politically. Whether elections are held this year or next year, the eyes of Kenyans and also of the international community will be on the IEBC to see how they will manage this election. Aaron Ocheng, KTN, Spotlight 2012.
Thanks, Aaron Ocheng, for that comprehensive report there on Spotlight 2012. Now we'll take a short break, and still to come is Business Today as well as Sport.
The truth is that the entity that gave the certification has a problem with the source of its authorization because of itself is just an agency. But I think that information is very clear that that certification stands unrecognized.
That may be good
lose germs, but germs are getting tougher. You need advanced protection. Lifebuoy Advanced Lifebuoy gives protection against 10 infection-causing germs. 10 infection-causing germs. 1 advanced protection. Lifebuoy.
At UAP, we enhance lives across Africa. Insurance, investment management, property investment, and financial advisory. UAP, better, simple life.
In this week's issue of My Health magazine, we look at the embarrassment caused when people wear dirty and undersized undergarments and the health perils that lurks deep within. Get more insight also on the doctor's diary and the student's diary, plus much more. Only on your copy of My Health in Tuesday Standard. Buy your copy.
Inaleta mabadiliko.
The introduction of technology in the electoral process is believed to enhance efficiency, accountability and legitimacy of the voting process. IEBC is currently strengthening its technology systems in readiness for the next general elections. This week on Countdown with IEBC, Commissioner Mohammed Alawi gives us more insights into embracing technology in the electoral process.
I will share with you how IEBC has embraced ICT with a view of maintaining high standard of integrity and professionalism.
Herbal Better-Still medicated lozenges. Fast, effective and soothing action for sore throats.
A sore throat can be so uncomfortable and just makes you miserable, making swallowing painful, talking a bother and even singing stressful. When you have a sore throat, take it easy. Ensure you take plenty of fluids and remember, always, when symptoms persist, seek medical advice.
Now introducing 2 new Better-Still flavors, Better-Still Menthol and Better-Still Peppermint.
Natural beer, sugar-free, truly Kenyan.
You need to know that when there is change, there are things that must not change. Loving one another must not change. Integrity must not change. All the fruits of the Spirit that Jesus talked about, those are never changing. The 10 Commandments, they must not change. Yes, the world is changing, but there are things that must not change.
Welcome back. Time for us to take a look at the business news. And residents of the Coast Province are likely to be subjected to water disconnection at the end of this week. This is due to a 65 million shilling debt that's owed by the Coast Water Services Board to the Water Resources and Management Authority. KTN Zawadi Mudibo has the details.
The Water Resources Management Authority, WRMA, cites non-payment of water use fees and water abstraction or extraction intakes by the Coast Water Services Board as the reason for the intended move. The Coastal Water Board is not new to such accusations, its entire board having been suspended by the Water and Irrigation Minister early March this year over an alleged misappropriation of a 6 billion shillings kitty meant for improving water delivery services in the region. According to the authority, the board owes it about 65.6 million shillings. In the notice appearing in a section of Monday newspapers, the Chief Executive Officer of WRMA noted that its operations were being curtailed by the non-remittance of water usage charges by the Coast Water Services Board. Accordingly, the authority says it will be disconnecting the Marere and Baricho intakes which supply water to the hundreds of thousands of residents in Kwale, South Coast, Likoni, Mombasa, Kilifi and Malindi. Zawadi Mdibo, KTN Business Today.
Let's move on with the business. The recruitment of a substantive head of the Communications Commission of Kenya is in its last phase. This, according to reports, a consultancy firm, Manpower Services, presented the names of 6 candidates to the Commission board. The board is expected to carry out interviews for the 6 who include Acting Director General Francis Wangusi, Juma Kandie, who is the Commission's Human Resources Director, John Omo, the Commission's Secretary and Legal Director. The DG position fell vacant following a court procedure that nullified the renewal of Joseph Njoroge's tenure by Information Minister Samuel Pahisio. Moving on further, mobile phone usage in Kenya is increasingly becoming the alternative means to bridging the digital divide, especially amongst those who cannot access internet via PCs. This market segment locally is about 8 million subscribers who are not yet using smartphones. Samsung's head of business for East and Central Africa, Robert Nyeru, gives us a snippet of what it's like to rake in this market segment.
We're partnering with lots of institutions. For example, locally, we've partnered with the mobile operators, the ICT board, the Ministry of Education, and we are driving availability of content to the local schools and local community so that there's no divide, there's no gap. Whatever you can get from the urban perspective, even the rural perspective, we're making it possible for you to achieve the same with solutions built in onto Samsung laptops and Samsung smartphones for that matter. I talked about the solar-powered laptop. It comes integrated with local programs.
Let's take a look at our corporate briefs for this Monday.
Consolidated Bank has launched its 4 billion corporate bond to be issued in 2 tranches, with the first tranche of 2 billion shillings. The Consolidated Bank 4 billion bond has been arranged by NIC Capital as the lead arranger and NIC Securities as sponsoring stockbroker. The corporate bond issue seems to be a show of confidence for the bank that seems to have risen from a prolonged period of bearish run. Elsewhere, Rafiki Deposit Taking Microfinance is the latest entrant into the Kenyan real estate market following its launch in Nairobi. The microfinance, a subsidiary of Chase Bank, seeks to empower middle and low-income earners through tailor-made products in a bid to increase access to decent and affordable housing. The microfinance will serve businesses' advances, salaried loans and support investment chamas that pull resources together. And finally, visiting South Korean Prime Minister Kim Hwang-sik has promised his country's continued support towards geothermal exploration in the country. The PM praised the mode of energy, terming it as clean and free of any carbon emissions, which has been the concern of the world. The PM, who is in the country for a 3-day tour, was speaking in Olkaria, Naivasha during a tour of the geothermal-rich area.
Well, finally, in the business, let's take a look at how the Kenyan shilling performed. 2 key things: the liquidity has been mopped up by the central bank, and of course, we're seeing a much more optimistic look. So the Kenyan shilling, by all means, is looking pretty good.
Gold Rush in association with Kenya's migration to digital television.
In Slovakia, past performances count for nothing. Elena Kaliska won gold in the K1 slalom in Athens and Beijing, but still faces a tough selection battle for London.
There is only one place for the Olympics. The battle will be very difficult for both of us, and it will be a question of chance. Who will be the best at the right moment?
At least the remarkable Slovak twins Pavel and Peter Hochschorner seem safe as they chase their 4th successive Olympic gold in the C2 men. Victory in the World Cup shows they still have the edge.
To win the World Cup was our main goal of the season. We were waiting for this title for a long time, about 2 or 3 years I think. So this year we made it.
It's time to migrate your analog TV to the beautiful new world of digital television. Digital TV, a beautiful new world of entertainment.
Pay your utility bills, transfer funds between M-Pesa and your bank account, inquire your account balance, get mini statements and purchase airtime with simple banking from NBK.
So guess what? We have 5 orders waiting. 5? What am I supposed to do with those? It's okay. You just bake. Take your time. I'll handle the business side of things.
What on earth was that?
What is it?
What's the atiwiwi, omelette du fromage? Huh?
I just thought he'd feel less threatened if I spoke to him in French.
We do not need to make him feel any less threatened.
Okay, I tried telling you.
I tried telling Ben. You get, but that's beside the point. You need to give us the original soap.
About that, I have some good news and some not so good news. Which one do you want first?
Wait, what are games?
Can I have some money for my Vision account?
You're here. Simple banking. Benki Ulipo. National Bank. The bank where you belong.
Natural beer, sugar-free, truly Kenyan. Pata ukweli wa mtambo wako leo. The dangers of using counterfeit phones. Counterfeit phones do not follow safety standards during their manufacture, and their use could affect your health. Counterfeit phones are impossible to trace if stolen, and difficult for law enforcement agents to track down if used for criminal activities.
Dial *#06# to retrieve the 15-digit IMEI number and send an SMS with that number to 155. Pata ukweli wa mtambo wako leo.
My name is Mark Juma Tambo.
All counterfeit mobile phones will be switched off by September 30th this year.
It's now time to look at the KTN Sports today. Nicholas Mudimba. Team Kenya training schedule went a notch higher today, especially after neighbors and potential rivals Ethiopia released the Olympic squad. Head coach led his squad for tactical training in Ngong, but that session was restricted to the media for obvious reasons. Victor Gali reports.
Team Kenya opted for the quiet floors of the Ngong Hills for their Monday training session. And unlike in the past where the media had a field day filming the team's training sessions, that changed as coaches delved into the critical aspects of training, which the competition could copy should they be made public. This is the farthest our cameras could go in filming the team's training, with strict warning from the coaches and the National Olympic Committee as the team seeks to limit who is watching what they are doing. The team's tactical approach was made clear after rivals Ethiopia named an equally stronger squad.
We are doing this because of our training, because always training when you are doing, nobody else is supposed to know what I'm doing.
Some of us, maybe when we say, then they'll know how we are training, so
I think according to that, it's something like a secret in our team.
Monday's training session was aimed at ensuring individual athletes achieve the necessary endurance levels. Kenya's main rival in middle and long distance races, Ethiopia's squad, includes usual suspects such as Mesure Defar, Gelete Burka, Tunesh Dibaba in the women's 5,000 meters, Kenenisa Bekela in the men's 10,000 meters, and Fantu Magisu in the women's 800 meters, who is currently ranked third fastest worldwide.
Sisi tunapofanya training yetu hatufanyi kwa sababu ya inji fulani. Unapojua usiku hii ama kesho kutwa watu hujitokeza.
Today they say they have named the Ethiopian team, so that's why coach was strict because he knows who is going to compete with who. So that's why he was pushing us to do some endurance.
The team will on Tuesday work on their speed work. As it stands now, secrecy and privacy is of essence for Team Kenya as they are not willing to let anyone near their training. Victor Ogale, Ngong in Nairobi.
And Mara Soka now, Tusker FC will leave for this year's Sekafa Club Championships before the weekend while leading the KPL table with 36 points. The Brewers 1-0 draw against